I want to talk about MAGA, family, and burning bridges. Like some of you, I have many MAGA supporting family, and over the years, I've fought with them, argued with them, nearly cut ties with some of them, and it's so hard because we know they're good people. I mean, I guess I can't speak for you guys, but my family, who supports MAGA, I know they're good people. They're very helpful and they're kind. Um, they care about their friends and their family and their community. So I thought, if you are a sane person with common sense, you know Donald Trump is a giant shitbag. Downright evil, some might say. And supporting him would lead you to think like, oh, maybe they agree with the evil stuff he does. I've had this weird conflict where like Donald Trump's bad. So if you support him, wouldn't that make you bad? And obviously that's not true. I just want to interject here real quick about MAGA supporters being bad and it not being true, because obviously we know some of them are bad and some of them are not. But even if like they're not bad people, I think Donald Trump, MAGA, the MAGA movements, Fox News, all these right-wingers on YouTube, the culture is shifting, and Donald Trump especially is basically giving people permission to be the worst versions of themselves. I've seen people I care about just be more racist, more ignorant, more homophobic and transphobic than they've ever been. And they've been given permission to not have to think about their beliefs and how damaging they could be. And they haven't suffered the consequences enough. Like as far, I mean, that might not be true because we don't talk about it. So maybe they are losing friends and family over this stuff. And you might say like, nobody should cut off family. It's like, bro, what if your family doesn't think it's all right for you to be gay or trans? Like they don't agree with your existence. When can you cut off family? Do they have to hit you? Like, I don't know. That drives me crazy when they say you can't let politics get in the way of family. At this point, it's not about politics. It's about morals and ethics. 10, 20 years ago, I would disagree with you if you voted Republican, and I probably disagreed with some of your conservative values or whatever, but it's not about that anymore. Donald Trump has completely gnarled and twisted the Republican Party into this Frankenstein monstrosity of any decency it used to have. It's just gone. Yeah, sorry about the tangent. People make mistakes. People get drawn in by lies and deceptions. It's just never been so obvious before. Because at least in the past, politicians pretend like they're doing something good. They pretend that they pretend to have like decorum and pretend to be like civil and moderate. Donald Trump does not do those things. He's very open about how fucking shitty he is. So for people to still support him, they either have to agree with the horrible things he says and does, lie to themselves about it happening, or live under a rock, or just avoid news about him altogether. Best case scenario, they're just ignorant. But that's not enough. You can go about your life and just avoid learning about Donald Trump and who he really is, but that shouldn't lead you to vote for him. That doesn't make sense. So there's another factor at play. and even like good people who vote for Donald Trump are absorbing information about Democrats and liberals and the general left. They have to. If there's one thing in common between all of my family who support Donald Trump, besides supporting Donald Trump, is like their disdain for like Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Democrats and liberals and the left, or what they perceive the left to be, because all the information they get is lies and propaganda. Left and leftists get lumped in with Dems and liberals, and that's not accurate, but that's a different discussion. Another tangent here. You'll hear me say lies and propaganda a lot in this video, because that's just the quickest, easiest way to say it. But it's not just this narrative built around the Democrats, because they suck. We all know they suck, but they don't suck in the ways Republicans say they suck. But it's also, he's sown so much distrust in the media, and you should always be skeptical of like the news and media, but not to the extent that Donald Trump has completely demonized all news that is even an iota of negativity towards him. He has trained his audience and his supporters to distrust all news that doesn't support him, which is one of the most key components of fascism. But another small tangent, our country doesn't teach about fascism. In school, I learned about the Holocaust and Hitler and all the horrible things he did, but nobody tells you how he got to power. Nobody tells you that he like was like a figurehead for a party and went to jail and it got really popular and he got voted in and he dismantled all of the systems that would stand against him. Our schools, our country just skips to the Holocaust part because they don't want us to learn that the shit that Hitler did is the stuff that we have done in the past and what we're doing now. Back to the video. I have to tread carefully because it's not just that they support Donald Trump. In some of the cases, they simply just don't know how evil he is because they avoid it. They avoid knowing about it. But they are getting bombarded by someone, by something, with fear-mongering about transgender and queer people, fear-mongering over Mexican immigrants and how they're like all stealing jobs, stealing houses, raping and murdering everyone. We know that's not true. They don't care. Because for them, it's not about facts or logic, common sense. It's about their feelings. And their feelings are being manipulated with fear-mongering and propaganda. These, literally all of MAGA, because it takes only a little bit of critical thought to not support Donald Trump. At the bare minimum, they are all ignorant. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I don't mean that they're stupid. They've isolated themselves, and their media feeds and algorithms have isolated their information. And like I've always known that, but when having conversations with my MAGA family, I didn't give them that grace. Frankly, I just watched too much like debate content, especially during the Donald Trump's first term and in Biden's first term. I watch less debate content now because most of the debate content YouTubers and streamers I watch realized you can't really debate these people anymore. That it's all bad faith. Early on, they would try to argue with some facts and some logic. They came in with good faith. There's no good faith anymore. They just don't care. So they don't make debates anymore. And frankly, I have to I completely understand. And some of them still do it, and challenging bad ideas is always a good thing. You just got to be careful who you platform, I think. But I'm still on the fence about that too. Anyways, I didn't give my MAGA family that grace. I always came at them with debate bro energy, always try to debunk everything they said. 9 out of 10 times, if they came at me with some point, it was usually straight up false or misconstrued in a way that favors their side. And the conversations would never last very long because either they got emotional or I got, what's the word? Frustrated. After Donald Trump won his second election, that was probably one of the worst moments of my life. I know that's kind of sad because it's like politics, but also it's not about politics anymore. And I'll get into that shortly, but this is a fascist regime, and this is the closest we've ever been to fascism. Like, uniquely, like, American fascism. Because we just got to do everything so different. But not really too different at all. Some family would reach out, and I lashed out because I made it clear I didn't really want to talk about it. So I was even more frustrated when they would reach out. And then I said things I regretted. I'm still correct on all of my positions. I just didn't like the way I handled it. And I don't like the way they all handled it. They cannot conceive that they're in the wrong about anything. I was gonna say I never hear them admit they're wrong, but the conversations don't last long enough. So in the last several years, I just don't talk to them about it anymore. Sometimes they let stuff slip, a little bit of racism here, a little bit of nationalism there, and all I can do is speculate on what they really believe. Hearsay, over, like, actually what ICE is doing is really good for our country. So, but put up the bootlicker meme. I don't know. It is... Another thing that frustrates me is when people think like I'm being mean. And it's like, I can acknowledge that you're being fear-mongered to, and you've lost the plot to propaganda, while also like giving you a hard time about it. There should be room for giving people a hard time and room for making jokes. Especially coming from the like comedy is back crowd. God forbid I make a joke at their expense. While in the same breath I get called a snowflake. But the whole point of this video, is that I've burnt these bridges. As much as I would like to talk to them about what's going on, speaking of which, it's January 3rd, 2026, and Donald Trump just took over Venezuela. Just to date this video, and he kidnapped their president. Say what you will about like the president and the cartels and stuff. That's all bad, but like, we know Donald Trump is doing this because he just like wants their oil and he wants to feel like a big strong man. But he's literally taking over countries without the permission of the Congress and the Senate, and I forget what. There's bureaucracy, there's steps to go through before you can start just attacking other countries. And I don't know the full process or whatever, but I know what he did was completely illegal and unconstitutional. But whatever, man. He can literally do whatever he wants. Hey guys, just in the middle of editing this video, and I was talking about the whole bureaucracy thing and Trump having to go through Congress and whatever. I don't have a full grasp on how all of that works, so feel free to correct me. I just want to say that like I'm not gonna assert that I know that for sure. Just for reference, I'm editing this part on January 9th, 2026, and things are getting really fucking heated. If you know, you know. Back to it. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody in power gives a shit. Some people in power do, but not with enough power to actually do anything. These people, like, started to go off on a tangent, but like, I think like Democrats and Republicans are just waiting for him to die off so either they can take power or we can get back to some normalcy. I think Democrats want to go back to how things used to be, and Republicans want to just take advantage and embrace the new fascist regime, which neither of those are going to work for us. We want better, we deserve better, and we will fight and argue and bitch and whine until we get it. Because that's freedom, baby. But anyways, I burnt bridges because I couldn't help myself. I couldn't help but like correct them and point out how they're wrong, and like statistics and arguments. Trick, guys, if you haven't burnt your bridges yet, if you want to talk to your MAGA family about their, frankly, I was gonna say the R word, but I'm not going to. So, ridiculous beliefs. Don't come at them hot. You know, don't attack. Don't go into a debate mode. Go with the Socratic method, because you could argue with them, but it's not going to work, because their beliefs stem from a fundamental misunderstanding of what truth is and how to attain it. And worse yet, they're incapable of knowing what truth is and knowing what lies are. And it's not entirely their fault. So give them a little bit of grace, okay? Just ask them instead of challenging them right away, because it's really easy to debunk stuff. Just ask them why they believe what they believe and why they believe it, and lead them down this road. If you stick to the Socratic method, you're not just like debunking what they're saying, but you're leading them down the path for them to learn how to break down these lies so they can debunk it themselves. And you might call me condescending or arrogant, but in 2026, with so many people that I love and care about being on the wrong side of history for so long and being so wrong about everything all the time, forgive me for feeling some arrogance, for just taking some really basic positions. Time is going to look fondly on people like me who take these very simple, easy positions, and history is not going to look fondly on MAGA. Certainly MAGA. And they might be, more forgiving, because like modern like fascist historians obviously know and understand that they are victims of fear-mongering and propaganda, so it's like how much responsibility should they take? How much of it isn't their faults? Nobody can really know for sure. But in your personal relationships, try to take it a little easy. Give them a little bit of grace. Start with the Socratic method. And I really want to make one more point. Because I'm saying give them grace, give them time and patience. But if they're being like evil to you, you don't have to put up with it. I'm not saying like if they're calling you the F slur because you're gay, like just give them time, forgive them. I'm not saying that. You can cut off who you need to cut off. If you think it's like, if it's like abusive emotionally or physically or verbally, I'm not saying you have to forgive them, because there's a line, obviously, but everybody's line is different. I'm not sure where my line is, but the worse Donald Trump gets, the more I find myself having to push my line back for my family's sake, because I don't know how much they support what's going on, because we just don't talk about it anymore. And I can't really blame them for not wanting to talk to me about it, because from their perspective, I'm just like the crazy brainwashed liberal. And I'm mad and emotional. And I haven't helped, that. I've kind of fed into their delusion of what kind of person I am. Instead of just being chill and just asking them why they believe what they believe. And that's my fault. But you guys, you don't have to make the mistake. There are scenarios, obviously, where you don't have to forgive them. You don't have to give them grace. You can say, fuck them. And it's like, you guys, like, I think I know where my lines are. You know where your lines are. And if they haven't crossed those lines, if there's still communication and you're still willing to help them, do it. Or don't. But if you're going to, take it easy on them. They're going to need time to rewire their brain from just all the mess that the last 10, 20, 30 years of fear-mongering and propaganda have deteriorated. And that's it. So I'll talk to you guys later.